Hi, I'm Bryony Clark from the charity National Numeracy, and I'm having a big number natter with Rose Benson about dyscalculia. Hi, Rose.
Hi, Bryony. It's lovely to chat to you.
Thank you so much for being here today. So to kick off the conversation, I'd like to ask, what is one word you would use to describe how you feel about numbers and maths?
The best word I'd use to describe my relationship with numbers and maths is probably the word scared, because how I experience maths, that's mainly how I feel, just a bit scared of it.
You're certainly not alone in how you feel. I think a lot of people will definitely use that word as well. And as we talk more and carry on our conversation, I'm sure we'll discover why you've chosen that word in particular. So thank you. So can you tell me about your experience of dyscalculia and how it impacts your daily life?
So the best way I can explain my life with dyscalculia is basically I kind of struggle with the little bits of life that people don't really question too much. So, for example, I can't read the clock, or I'm unable to picture time in my head. So if someone said to meet me somewhere in 15 minutes, I wouldn't know how long 15 minutes is or how to see that on a clock. And something as simple as going to the shop and buying milk, I'm unable to really understand money very well. So that would be quite a stressful and difficult situation for me. So it's basically just the tiny things that you wouldn't really think would be a problem, are kind of a problem for me.
Thank you so much for opening up about that. There's some really great examples to really understand how it impacts you. And like you say, I think they're things that a lot of people probably do take for granted. So it's really insightful just to hear it from your perspective and how it impacts you. So thank you. So can I ask, when did you find out that you have dyscalculia?
Well, I'd probably say the first time I understood I had there was a reason why I struggled so badly with maths, was probably during maybe, I think around P5 or P6 of primary school, where I was in a math class and a boy had asked the teacher why I was doing simpler maths, and why he wasn't doing simpler maths. I think maybe he was a bit jealous. And the teacher said, oh, well, she's got, I think she called it like a math dyslexia or something. And I remember my friend beside me being like, oh, I didn't know you had that. And I remember thinking, I didn't know I had that either, and being slightly confused. And so I went home to ask my mum, and she kind of been thinking, that I maybe had something. And after a little bit of research, that's when we realised that I probably had dyscalculia, and that's when we found the term and things like that.
Wow, okay. So that's quite an abrupt way for it to sort of come about, the fact that your teacher had almost diagnosed you a little bit and, just announced it in class. So I imagine that was quite, a bit of a weird way of it coming about. But, I suppose it opened up the conversation and you managed to get some support and help for it. So, brilliant. Thank you for mentioning that. So a lot of the people that we support in National Numeracy, they often speak about their experiences at school, and you've touched on it a little bit just now. But can you just tell me a little bit more about your experience at school with dyscalculia?
Yes, of course. A big thing to mention is that, teachers did want to help me and did want to support me, and that they were really, really lovely, quite a few teachers. But the main issue was they just didn't know about dyscalculia or even what it was. And like a really interesting fact is that dyscalculia is about 30 years behind dyslexia in research. So, when I was at primary school, teachers probably had never even heard the term dyscalculia. So they did want to help me, they just struggled with knowing how. So it wasn't their fault, not really knowing how to help me. But a lot of it revolved around things like my teacher putting me on mathletics at one point, which was like a maths video game that I used to play, and I would just play that on a loop. And that kind of mainly involved me just playing that over and over again, but not really getting any better with my maths particularly. And also I just remembered this one game they would do where they would have this big blow up beach ball with numbers on it, and they would chuck it around the classroom, and when you caught the ball, the sum that faced you had to answer it in front of the whole class off the top of your head, and I hated that game because I never knew the answer, and teachers would sort of look at me and think I was just being silly. And one teacher did at one point pull my mum aside and said, I think she's doing it for attention, because she couldn't think of any other way for why I was so bad at maths. And that kind of carried through into high school as well, teachers just being a little bit confused as to why I was finding it so difficult. And it was only until my home economics teacher noticed I couldn't work an oven that she started to realise that I was really struggling, and that's when I started to get a little bit more support.
Wow, thank you for opening up about those experiences, especially the one with the beach ball. I imagine that was really daunting and not very comfortable to be in. And like I said, a lot of the people that we support at National Numeracy, they open up about those traumatic school experiences, and it can have a really lasting effect as well. But just to mention what you said there about, it's good that you had those teachers that were there, they wanted to support you. But you said that really interesting fact, the fact that Dyscalculia is 30 years behind the research into dyslexia, and that's what sort of makes it so difficult for people, because the sort of people are there wanting to support you, but there just isn't that sort of recognition or always, or that understanding of it. So yeah, it's really powerful. But yeah, thank you again for opening up about those experiences. So now to talk about you now, obviously you've moved into the world of work, and you've got quite a creative focused role, I understand. Do you see dyscalculia as a strength when it comes to your creativity and your artistic skills?
Yes, I absolutely think it's a strength. I often, there's never been a point where I've ever wanted to not have dyscalculia or want there to be a quote unquote cure, because I do think that that's what makes me so creative. It's almost like my mum always says that because the math side of my brain is slightly non-existent, the creative side can really blossom, which is good, and it's perfect for my job, which is all about creativity and storytelling and playing characters, and I don't think I could maybe excel at that as well as I could without the math side of stuff, and my work, as well as it allowing me to be creative, they're really, really supportive. And my manager, before she met me, I knew that she'd had experience with someone with dyscalculia before, so it was kind of nice having somebody that had heard of it and knew how to support me, and she does that really, really well. So it's not as stressful as my school experience was.
And that's really positive to hear, and it's great that you're allowed to be in that creative role where you can really use those strengths that you have. So it's wonderful that you've sort of turned it into a positive, and it's wonderful to hear. Thank you. So what can somebody who thinks they have dyscalculia do? I
would say best course of action is definitely I would go to somewhere like the Dyscalculia Network. I wish I'd have known of something like that, especially me and my mum when I was younger, because they have a lot of answers, with the questions that you have, particularly surrounding dyscalculia. They're able to, give you a lot of support, because it is quite a hard time realising that, you struggle with maths so severely and you have to have a label with it and things like that. So I would definitely say visit their website, have a look at their Instagram page. They're really, really good at giving support, and they definitely, when I got in touch with them, they definitely gave me support in finding a diagnosis as well, which is something that's really, really important, being able to officially say that you have dyscalculia. So they're a brilliant group.
Wonderful. Sounds like perfect advice, Rose. So thank you so much as well. But yeah, thank you for talking to me today. It's been really, really great to chat to you about your experiences of life with dyscalculia. And I can imagine it will be incredibly helpful for anyone who thinks they might have dyscalculia or anyone who struggles with numbers, to really hear about your experiences. But I also think it'll be great for anyone who maybe hasn't heard about dyscalculia before, just to learn a little bit more about it, and really understand the impact that it can have. So thank you again for having the big number natter with me. If anyone watching this struggles with numbers and with maths, you are certainly not alone. There are lots of free resources on the National Numeracy website to help boost your confidence. Just search National Numeracy Day to find them. And there you can also find out about how to take part in the big number natter yourself and get involved in the conversation online using #BigNumberNatter. Thanks again, Rose.
Thank you.